Hey, and welcome to the Harry Man Show, episode 73. Sorry for the short break, but we're getting in the studio together, and a lot of cool things are coming forward. Today, I have a really great guest and a great drummer. His name is Taylor Carroll. He's currently playing in a band called Lit, one of my personal favorites growing up, and he's also a multi-instrumentist, also playing in bands like Pillar and many others we will speak of. How's it going, Taylor?
It's going great.
Right on, man. So,
I
how you?
love the title of your show. The title of your show is amazing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Harry Man Show.
Yeah, it kind of covers it. I can talk to all musicians, not just drummers, but yeah, it kind of covers a broad land, I guess.
Oh, I love it.
All right, so yeah, kind of jumping into it. You guys just got off the Monsters of Rock cruise with Lit, is that correct?
We did, man. It was awesome.
All right, and what did that consist of? Was it like a cruise ship or?
It was a great crowd, man. It was a bunch of cool rock and roll fans that just wanted to go have a good time and listen to all sorts of bands from the 80s, 90s. There were so many talented musicians on that boat. I couldn't keep up. I was always watching different bands all day with some of my guys and just kind of in awe. Like, dude, I need to quit playing drums. These guys are so good.
So how long did that little run last?
I think it was about, 5 days, something like that. It flew by, though. I mean, there was just so much going on. And we played two shows, one outside on the boat, and then the other one was it was trippy, man. We were in some theater. I can't remember what it was called in there, but it's weird when the boat is moving and you're playing this theater that's like, I don't know, man. It's like a portable theater that like kind of sways back and forth.
Oh, that must
So
be.
that was pretty trippy.
Yeah, that must have been a hell of a trip. I never played on a cruise ship before, but I always wanted to do that. But yeah, that sounds awesome, man.
Man, I hope you get the chance to do it. It's a lot of fun.
And then, are you guys doing any more plans like that in the future here, or just that one for now?
You know what? I don't know if we have anything on the books, but if we ever did another Monsters of Rock or anything like that, I'd be so stoked, if they ask us back. I hope they do. Fingers crossed.
So going forward, you guys have a spring loaded tour you just announced as well too. How's that coming about?
We do. No, it's going to be great. We got a new album coming out soon. I don't know the exact date. I know it's around the summer.
Mm-hmm.
We're hitting the road with Bowling for Soup in the UK in April.
Nice. Those guys are awesome.
And, man, they sure are. We're going all up and down the UK with those guys around then. And as soon as we get back, we're doing the spring loaded thing.
All right, is that your first time in UK with Lit or?
With Lit, yes, but I've been to the UK with a couple other bands in the past, and I always love playing the UK. It's always a great time.
Now, is it a little bit of a culture shock, or you just feel like it's just kind of the same rock and roll feel over there as well?
Yeah, for me, it's different. I feel like people in the UK kind of have a different approach. I mean, they're really stoked. I mean, not that they're not stoked here, but over in the UK, it's kind of everybody, is really, really stoked about going to the show, and they're still into it. It's a little bit of a throwback,
Mm-hmm.
Because over here, I think we're spoiled by so much music.
Yeah,
and it might be the same over there, but just a different vibe.
Well, they do look at a lot of American culture too. So big American bands going through there it's one in a few. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's got to be it. I never thought about that. It's kind of like when a band from England kind of comes here. We're like, oh man, that's so awesome. They're from London.
Yeah. It's just a whole cultural thing. So I want to talk about the single that's coming out. It's currently called American Dream. Is that correct?
Yes, my girlfriend actually released that single.
Excellent. By the way, it's been a rotation on my Spotify here.
Oh, thanks so much, dude. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. So was that just collaboration you guys just put together, or is it kind of working on a new album as well, and then kind of got pieced into it?
Both. Dia and I started writing together. Well, we started dating actually 2 years ago, and we started writing her new album together a little bit because she asked if I would kind of join her in with the writing because, what else are you going to do during COVID-19 when you're supposed to, stay home? So we decided to, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Or that.
Yeah.
So we wrote the song American Dream together for her album that she recorded with Howard Benson. Mm-hmm. He's an awesome producer, kind of legendary kind of dude. And he produced that song American Dream for her album. And then she asked me if we could do a collaboration with Lit, if those guys would be down. So we were out on the road on a bus, and I straight up asked the dudes and played them the song, and thank God they loved it. And we hit the studio and did it the way that Lit would do it.
Nice.
In Nashville, and then kept her old vocals, and it turned out really cool, man. I really love the way that AJ sounds on it and Jeremy's guitar parts. It was a blast, man.
Yeah, Jeremy has a hell of a range. I really like the added like cream he puts on top of the songs too. He always has that signature Lit sound with it.
Yeah, he really does, man. He's got his own tone and vibe when it comes to. And I didn't really. I think I'm hitting it on the head here. Like I didn't really understand what that was until I joined the band. I asked him when we were out on the road one time. I was like, dude, so like, what are your influences? What's that cool tone that you're always doing? Like, how did the whammy come about? Mm-hmm. And he's just like, man, I just love metal. I love the '80s.
Really?
I mean, he loves all kinds of stuff. He loves the Eagles too, but I feel like it's a combination of like Elvis Costello meets
rockabilly.
Like Judas Priest.
Yeah, I hear like not to put him in a box, but I hear a lot of rockabilly kind of themes. I've always loved it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know, man. It all kind of influences each other, huh?
Yeah, it does. It all meshes in the end. So
yeah, it does.
Well, talking about that, Lit was a huge band for me growing up. It was actually one of the first CDs I bought. I know you weren't in the band at the time, but how did that gig come up for you, and how long you been with them?
Well, man, I want to preface this with saying that I was in Sam Goody when I was like 10 years old, sampling Miserable and whatever songs I could on that album. Yeah, I was a fan when I was a kid as well. So that's really cool.
We're probably, I didn't know if we were the same age. I was a little bit older, but that was one of those albums I pretty much kind of learned how to play drums to.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I mean, the three big singles were, in heavy rotation on the radio, Ziploc, my worst, I'm blanking out, and then Miserable was a big one for me too. Yeah,
no, I love every song on that album. And I remember growing up and always kind of practicing to those two as well. I think when I was it's just crazy, man. It was all full circle. To answer your question, I was in Nashville. I do a lot of songwriting stuff and production, and so I was in Nashville working with a couple people, and my friend Hillary was telling me, she's like, "Hey, I'm going to go hang out with the Lit guys." Yeah, so we hit it off really well in Nashville when my friend Hillary introduced us, and months later, I started going to Jeremy's bar out in Fullerton.
Oh, he owns a bar there?
Yeah, he did. I think, I don't know if they still got it. I don't know the
oh, sorry to interrupt. I just didn't know. Sorry, man.
Oh, no worries, man. Yeah. No worries. I was just making sure you didn't lose me. I didn't start sounding like a robot.
You roboting.
But yeah, long story short, they found out I was a drummer because I had stopped touring for, I think it was like 7-8 years at that time. Because I don't know what it was. I just got burned out as a drummer, and I don't know if it was because the band I was in previously just kind of disbanded, and that kind of bummed me out because I wanted to play more shows, and I don't know what it was, but they found out that I played drums, and Jeremy was like, "Well, do you know how to play, My Own Worst Enemy, Ziploc?" And I can't remember, something to someone. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. And then I thought in my head, I was like, I would actually start playing drums again for these guys,
Wow.
And I sent him a video of me playing those, and a few months later, they called me and they said, "Hey, man, can you learn an hour?" I think it was an hour and a half set in like 24 hours. We got 2 shows this weekend, one at the Rose in Pasadena, and then one at this really cool venue called The Cave in Big Bear.
Oh, okay.
And I said, absolutely. So I didn't really need to learn the songs. I just kind of knew them all because growing up, just like you, I was a big fan of these guys. And I showed up at the slide bar. We rehearsed the songs, and thank God it worked out. It just felt right. And it was kind of a really cool moment for me. And I realized, I was like, man, this is a very full circle situation, and I'm really thankful to be here. So a day later after that, Pasadena. I played my first show with them. And it went really well. And I was stunned with how quickly that whole process went. And it's been a really cool few years. I think that happened in 2018, at the end of that. So,
Oh, nice.
it's been awesome.
So the catalog, were you guys doing like basically the whole 3 or 4 albums all together, or were they kind of loose on stage, or did they kind of let you put your own personality into the drumming as well?
Well, at first I kept it really tight, and I played exactly what Al would have played, or just out of respect, I played everything that would have been on the album, and then they kind of told me, they were like, improvise a little bit, stick with the formula, but um, feel free to go off the rails a little bit, and so that's what I did, and that kind of works a little bit too. I mean, there's still kind of unspoken kind of rules within the songs where it doesn't. These songs need some space. They don't need too many fills or clutter, and that's kind of what makes these songs flow like they do. And the playing with Lit is it's a really interesting feel. You follow. As much as I'm driving the train and they're following me, I still have to follow the feel of the guitar. You know what I mean?
But there is a big swing there in their music too. I've noticed that.
It's a big swing. I'm glad you caught that. We speed up and we slow down a little bit at certain points, like in certain choruses, like for example, No Big Thing. We'll be rocking that kind of hard rock kind of punk vibe a little bit.
Yeah.
Not necessarily punk, but it's got the baka 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 baka.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And then when you hit the chorus, kind of you really make sure that you give it space and slow down a little bit and then pick it back up. It's a really interesting. It kind of took me a little bit to get that because I'm used to how the bands do it nowadays. You just kind of hit play and there's like a lot of you get a lot of click track going and there's tracks out front. So Lit doesn't really. We just kind of play off of each other,
That's awesome. I wish more bands actually did that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's cool to be a part of a group of guys that have been doing it for so long together and have their own feel, and that's what's really intriguing about playing with these guys.
Well, the cool thing
helped me grow as a drummer.
Yeah, the cool thing about that, you can actually interact with the crowd. You're not stuck to a click track, and you deviate, you're lost. You know what I mean? So you can actually kind of stop, talk, change things, slow down. I just wish a lot more bands did that, but I understand the process of making it a machine. You're one night after another, but yeah, that's totally awesome in my book.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
So you joined about 2018, is that correct? Is this your first album playing with them?
It is, man. This is my first album with the guys, and we started it. I think we recorded last year.
Oh, nice.
In Nashville, and there's a lot of great songs on this record, man. I think people are going to really love it. It's kind of back to their roots, but it's got a new spin on it. It's kind of got a lot of cool alternative vibes that are very much lit,
Yeah, and then as you being a multi-instrumentist, did you help with kind of a lot of the guitar writing, or are you just stuck with the drums with the recording process?
No, you know what? That's what I like about this band. They don't spread me too thin. They let me just be a drummer and do all that. So there was 2 other really talented dudes that kind of did all the production for the whole thing, and it worked out really well.
Nice. Now I'm gonna take it back a little bit to how you came up. Did you start on guitar, or did you actually start on drums?
I started on guitar and drums simultaneously when I was little.
Oh, nice.
Because my dad is a singer-songwriter as well. So I grew up in Tennessee and on tour buses, kind of watching him do his thing, and I always wanted to do what he did. And so at the young age of, I think 9 or 10, he got me an acoustic guitar and kind of taught me a little bit of that. And then I started playing drums simultaneously,
Yeah. So you pretty much got some road experience before you hit the road. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And didn't even realize it until I was an adult.
Yeah, it takes people usually a decade to kind of get adjusted to it. But I'm assuming your dad played more of a country rock kind of stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. Like a country Americana kind of rock vibe,
Now, this is kind of an off question, but would you say like the Nashville scene is more like it was, or do you think it's evolved kind of like everything else over there in Nashville?
Well, I think Nashville's changed. A lot of people say for the worse or whatever, but I try not to ever think like that. I think it's changed for the better because it used to be just country and some rock, and, so, and now I see it being all alternative rock. You know, some hit, like every genre kind of hits that place now, and it's like the music town to be. And so I think it's changed in that so many people are moving there every day, and or, have moved there over the years, and I think that people go there to form bands because they know that there's so many talented people there, and the bar is set really high because if you can't deliver there, and then you don't want to tuck your tail and go back to another.
Yeah, and that's definitely a hot spot in the country right now. Everyone's flocking to as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we growing up, were you taking lessons? Was it all by ear? I mean, I guess you're in the same age range, so we kind of had to do everything by radio and YouTube. How did it work out for you?
Man, I mean, my ADD is so bad that any lessons I would have lost it all. I had to play by ear, so I just kind of sat and listened to different records and just tried to learn the best I could. And I just kept sucking for years until I started playing decently. It's kind of how it works, right?
Yeah. So, who were the big influences for you growing up?
Well, as a drummer, I was always influenced by. Thank God, my dad got me into classic rock at a young age. So, I mean, guys like Keith Moon,
nice,
from the Who, who introduced a lot of hand to foot fills and that era of rock and roll. I always loved those classic drummers, and obviously John Bonham, and the heavy hitting, big drum playing guys that were kind of flashy. And I don't care what anybody said. I'm a huge Tommy Lee fan. I've always loved his pocket, and I love his fill choices. He always did things that were a little different, and
he was a showman.
Yeah, he was a showman.
And I think I can see in your playing too with your stick tricks and all that stuff. You're very entertaining to watch.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, you should see when I drop them. It's really entertaining.
Yeah.
Thomas Lang, I don't know. Obviously, you're a drummer. You know who Thomas Lang is, correct?
Yes, I do.
That guy, he's a freak in a good way. I'm obsessed. I'm such a dork, dude. I'll be laying in bed watching those videos all night
and creative control and all that.
Yeah, I know that. I annoy the crap out of my girlfriend from watching drum videos all the time, and it's hilarious.
I guess I speak for myself.
What I do.
I find myself a little depressed knowing I'm not going to be able to practice some of those things ever. Doing quadruplets. I mean, like I'm speaking for myself, but some of that stuff could be discouraging as it is motivating.
Of course, man. I mean, dude, and obviously, go back a little bit to influences. Tony Royster Jr., man, that kid, I loved growing up watching his videotape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did a video with Dennis Chambers. So that's when I first discovered him. Yeah, and then he started kind of popping up all over the place, and then he was in Jay-Z and all that stuff. Yeah, he's pretty much the next Dennis Chambers in my book.
It's like walking past a $30 million mansion in Malibu, going, I dream of having this, but I don't think that it'll ever happen, and that's okay because I just like looking at it, and that's kind of how I feel about playing like those guys.
Well, you're in a good boat now, so yeah, you're in a good spot now. So yeah, it's always easier to look elsewhere, but yeah. Now I wanted to talk about like the gear you play. I know I've seen you picture with DW kits, but what brands do you use and what do you normally endorse?
Man, I recently became as far as the cymbals department goes, I recently became a Pisces endorsee.
Oh, nice. What line?
Pisces 2. I'm going to go with the 2002s.
Oh, nice, man. Those are like the go-tos. You can use those for anything.
I just think they're gorgeous, man. They sound so good. They're super bright. Mm-hmm. They don't they're not too loud. Like they don't make. I don't know. I hate the sound of most cymbals, man. Between you and I hate the sound of just cymbals just infiltrating my eardrums and just like making me go deaf. But Pisces, I could listen to those things all day. And I'm not even blowing smoke.
Yeah. Well, the thing about a lot of studio guys, they end up kind of going to Pisces in the recording room because they just cut a lot better for some reason. It's weird.
Yeah, they cut and they kind of just they sing differently, and As far as drums, man, you hit the nail on the head. I've loved BW drums. That's what I've always, played and what I always will play.
Now,
You know, and
are you doing a traditional rock setup like one up, two down, or just one down?
I do a 13 rack,
Oh, nice.
and then I go either 14, 16 four toms or 16, 18.
Nice.
It just depends on the day.
Yeah.
My drum tech / tour manager, he likes when I do 14, 16. I think he can control that a little bit more in the house. It's not too boomy with the 18.
Yeah.
But as far as kick drums go, I like them pretty big, man. I like a good old 24.
And that's a good look for the band Lit. I mean, you just think big bass drum rock and roll when you see a band like that live.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then as far as like snare drums, are you just kind of all over the place with that as well?
Yeah, a little bit, man. There's nothing really locked in there. I mean, one of my go-tos is obviously as generic as the sound is a Black Beauty.
Oh yeah,
because it's a Black Beauty.
There's a reason why. Yeah, I don't think I've ever. Yeah, but I don't think I've ever picked up one that sounds bad. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, you could tune it really uneven and it still sounds badass.
Yes. So to jump ship on you again, I know between tours, do you kind of have a daily practice regimen, or you just kind of rehearse what you got to work on, pretty much?
This sounds awful, but I never have any time to rehearse. The only times that I'll jump in there and rehearse is right before a tour, or anytime we're about to do like a weekend run or anything like that. I go rehearse and do the whole set, because if I'm not doing that, then I'm mostly writing songs or producing bands or artists, anything like that. But I do. It doesn't mean that I don't play drums for pleasure. I do, but I just never have the time to do it. Maybe because I still live in Los Angeles,
okay,
and because I'm spread pretty thin in my daily routines and schedules.
Well, it's not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
So
it sounds like you're the same way.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, so you touch base on the producing side of it. Is it? Do you produce albums as well, or work out of a particular studio?
I do. I have a studio that I work out of up on Mulholland Drive. Man, it's got a gorgeous view of the valley, and I just like working up here because the songs that are coming out of here are usually really really cool and create good memories for me. And I have a lot of fun with the bands and artists that I get to work with out of here.
Now, was that something you kind of started from the beginning, or as you kind of became a musician, you kind of get, because I would jump on a late bloomer on that stuff, but were you kind of learning as you went, or just learn later on?
Man, I'm learning every day.
Yeah.
There's so much. I'm still learning all the time. I kind of started young with that, like late teens, and I started learning to engineer, and I was lucky enough to be under the wing of singer-songwriter producer named David Hodges, and he's a guy that writes songs with Ed Sheeran, and he wrote like Christina Perri stuff and a bunch of other great artists. Man, he's kind of a legendary songwriter to me, so I got to learn a lot from him. And yeah, there will never be another David Hodges. That guy is one of the most talented songwriters I've ever met.
Now, is the live scene still kind of a little bit on the dim side in LA, or do you see it kind of picking up as well?
I see it picking up. I mean, I see a lot of people going to shows, and especially a lot of the musicians around here. Everybody's eager to play, and I think with the shows being taken away from everybody for so long, I think everybody's excited to go to shows now, and they're very thankful to be able to just be in a building with other people and watch a band.
Yeah, it's a different magic that goes with that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So before, I know you got some stuff to do, and I'm going to let you go here in a minute, but I wanted to ask, what would be the best catalog to reach out and check out some of your stuff, drumming and guitar wise? What bands to check out, and etc.
Well, as far as the drumming stuff goes, I mean, there's a new album coming out from this band called Lit soon. You guys might want to check that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, honestly, dude, that's the most proud I've ever been of any project, because we had so much fun making this thing. That'll be out in just a few months. As far as guitar stuff goes, I mostly just do that on other people's records and, kind of session work things. So there's nothing really that like I would send you to where it's like, dude, you got to check out my guitar riffs there,
No,
because I'm not much of a shredder. But as far as drums go, I think you'll really dig what this new Lit album does.
well, I'm excited about it because I mean, not besides the nostalgia, I'm really curious to see what you guys have with you being in the band, a new element. I think it's going to add a lot to it. You guys have a name for the album yet, or is that still in the works?
You know what? I think we do,
Well,
but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it yet.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's not worth the headache on that.
But I'll tell you in a few months.
Yeah, please.
Absolutely, man.
So Taylor, I know you're short for time, but I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy guy as myself, but yeah, once again, if someone wants session work, the best place to reach out to you would be Instagram.
Absolutely, man. It's just I'm Taylor Carroll, Instagram. Thanks for having me on here, man. It's been awesome talking to you.
Yeah, so guys, stay tuned for the Lids album. I know I'm excited about it, and hopefully this summer we'll get to hear it. Thanks a lot, Taylor.
Hey, thank you very much, man. Have a great day.
You too.